CSM presents Time Out with Coach.
Time Out.
This session of Time Out is about courage. Courage is a trait that everyone admires, but leaders must have it. The 1828 edition of Webster's Dictionary tells us that the word courage comes from a French word, coeur, C-O-U-E-R, which means heart. Courage comes from the word heart. It defines it this way: courage is the ability to face difficulty and danger with firmness, or without fear or depression. Synonyms are adventurous, valor, boldness, resolute. It's to have heart in the face of difficulty and danger and be firm. It brings to mind another word, the word entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is another French word. It's a military term, not a business term, but a military term. An entrepreneur in French military terms was a person who took risks to gain advantage. A primary example would be somebody like General Douglas MacArthur, who landed at Incheon, North Korea during the Korean War. It was a highly calculated and highly risky venture, but it succeeded, and it changed the course of the war. Now, of course, entrepreneur has become a business term. It has the same essential definition that Webster gave to the word courage, the ability to face difficulty and danger with firmness. An entrepreneur is somebody who needs great courage, has to take great risks in order to gain great advantages and win great prizes. History teaches that when courage is taken from economics, poverty is the result. Winston Churchill said, "The problem with capitalism is unequal distribution of capital. The problem of socialism is equal distribution of misery." So we need courage if we're going to rise above the low levels that we will find ourselves in. We have to have courage. Think of courage. Think of military. That's what I think of. Courage, military. Why? Because soldiers face death. There are great dangers, and being a soldier, I have tremendous admiration for the military, and there are many, many multitudes of great stories about soldiers who had great courage. We give them our highest honors. Winston Churchill was also a soldier, and he fought in the Boer War and in other engagements, but later became a political leader, a great political leader, one of the greatest in history. He said, "Those who fight in war can die only once." But he said, in politics, you die many times. And he indeed did. His career went up and down. In fact, he didn't become prime minister until he was 66 years of age and went through many rejections. He alone saw Hitler rising in the late 20s and 30s. He tracked him all the way, tried to warn the nations, but they rejected him until the moment it was almost too late. Churchill lived from 1874 to 1965. He led Britain and the Allies through World War II. He said, "I wasn't the lion, but I gave it the roar." Now, the reason I'm citing Churchill is because he's known for his great courage. He said, "Courage is the greatest of all virtues because it makes all other virtues possible." In other words, without courageous people, we wouldn't have the freedom to live out our virtues. And so it is. Whatever our quest is, we can die many times. Proverbs says, the righteous fall 7 times, but they get up every time. Why? Why do good people keep getting up after they've been knocked down? Courage. We have a saying, you can't keep a good man down, and that's true. Courage in our hearts keeps overcoming our weaknesses. Courage wears many uniforms. It wears a military uniform. It wears athletic uniforms. But it also wears a business suit. It takes courage to get up every morning and do something that is difficult and dangerous in order to gain an advantage for your family, your friends, your company. Courage is the willingness to lose everything for a noble cause, to leave it all on the field, whether the battlefield, athletic field, or the market field. Courage is the willingness to face critics whose own courage grows with the distance from the challenge. Some people are very courageous when they're a long way away from the field of battle. And to face them and to ignore them when the cause is noble takes courage. There's nothing so daunting as a person who is willing to leave it all on the field, whether it's the battlefield or the athletic field or the office, but giving it everything makes us formidable. Now, you may not know if you have courage until you're confronted. Somebody said, leaders are not born, they're cornered. I believe that's true. We have to deal with fear. Sometimes we fear being cornered. Most of us do. If you're smart, you do. Every sane person faces fear. Someone said, fear is faith in reverse. It's ceasing to believe and going backwards. The first adversary of a champion is fear. You have to deal with it. Now, I love dogs. I've not ever been afraid of dogs. I've been around dogs, owned dogs, like dogs. Dogs seem to know that I like them. Dogs can smell fear. I don't know how, but they just know it. I was never afraid of dogs until one day I took my cat to the vet. And standing in the veterinarian's office came out 2 Rottweilers, and I was holding a cat. Now, I'm going to say to you, I had fear. Of course, the cat was crawling inside of my shirt. Fortunately, the Rottweilers were on a leash. But we all have to deal with fear. Sooner or later, fear comes knocking. But failure to overcome fear leads to failure. Those who prefer security to opportunity eventually wind up with neither. I think it was Penn who said, all that's necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. We can't live with the counsel of our fears. We have to look at our opportunities. America's called the home of the brave. Why? Because our forefathers refused to take counsel of their fears. I appreciate men like General Washington and those who served with him, who against all odds overcame the most powerful nation in the world to establish this nation which became known as the home of the brave. I pray it'll always be that way. In order to achieve anything, we have to have courage. My father was a courageous man. He pastored a small church in a rural, small town, but he had a big vision. And he proposed to that church, which was worshiping in a small white wood frame building, that they build a brand new, beautiful stone Gothic structure at a fork in a road in a town of less than 500 people. People laughed at him. One lady told him when he proposed it, "You'll never build it, and if the church ever builds it, you won't be here." But he believed in his vision. Today, many years later, if you drive down the road and come to a fork, you'll see in the fork of the road a gorgeous, beautiful Tennessee crab orchard stone Gothic building. He had the courage to deal with his vision, but there'll always be people that say, "It won't fly. You'll never do it." If you're going to do it, you've got to have courage. Challenge guards the gates of success. The entrance into success is only for the courageous. When you come to the gates of opportunity, there are going to be some Rottweilers there. There's going to be some scary-looking figures. If you're going to enter in, you're going to need courage. Let me give you some suggestions. Remember this. Your adversaries also deal with fear. You're not the only one. Everybody does. My football coach used to tell us, the other team doesn't hang their britches on the wall and jump in them. They get in them one leg at a time, just like you. It's important to remember that what is before you is not invincible. Second, keep your eyes on the prize, on the possibilities. It's all right to be aware of the problems, but if you focus on the problems, you'll fall into them. In 1936, Winston Churchill saw the rise of Hitler in Europe, and he was eating Europe one country at a time. And Churchill said of Baldwin, he decided to be undecided. He resolved to be irresolute. Well, keep your eyes on the prize and not the problems, not your fears. 3, tackle small challenges first. Don't take on the giants until you've conquered something your size. I'm reminded that David killed the lion and the bear before he killed the giant, and he had confidence in the face of the giant. It would be a big mistake for you to take on something you're not prepared for. So build your courage by building your successes, a little thing, a few things, before you hit the great things. Another thing, number 4, is seek allies. If your cause is noble, someone else will see it too. You need allies. You need people who see your goals and who will tell you the truth. I guess my favorite motivational speaker is Jim Rohn. Jim said, feedback is the breakfast of champions. I was noticing that people whose lives destroy, who explode, Anna Nicole Smith, great tragedy. It was said of her, and I heard it said of Marilyn Monroe, I heard it said of others, that the people around them could only say yes. You need allies who are with you, but will give you the truth as they see it. Seek allies. Another thing, make your risk in proportion to the prize. Don't take great risks for useless gain or for small gain. Don't gamble heavily on a proposition with little payoff. General Patton, one of the greatest strategists in all of military history, said he never fought for an insignificant road or a road that leads to nowhere. Don't accept battle challenges for roads that lead to nowhere. If you're going to risk greatly, risk it for a noble cause. 6, dedicate yourself to victory. Don't fight a war with half measures. In our history, Korea, Vietnam, and now maybe in the Middle East, we've gone in with half measures. War is hell. If you're going to have a battle, give it everything or give it nothing at all. Battle's not a sport. Don't spar around with your life. Whatever your hands find to do it with all your might. Dedicate yourself to it. Douglas Hyde wrote a book called Dedication and Leadership. Douglas Hyde was the editor of the London Daily Worker, head of the Communist Party in England. He would go around teaching that if you were dedicated enough, you could become a leader. He said one day, after a lecture, a man came up to him who presented a very poor appearance, who stuttered, and said to Hyde, "Make me a leader." Hyde said immediately he doubted his own thesis, but he decided to take the man on. And so he taught him personally dialectic materialism till the man knew it. Then he told the man to teach another man, and he discovered that the man was very proficient, knew his subject, and became a good teacher. He taught him also to get a trade. He said, go to a machine shop, learn a trade, become the best at it you can. The man did. To cut through the story, at the end of the day, the man ceased stammering, became a respected leader in his trade, and when the man died, he was the head of the British labor movement. Why? Not because he had a lot of abilities, but because he had a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication. Dedicate yourself. Don't use half measures. Finally, number 7, take the challenge seriously, but not yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself. Don't think of yourself more highly than you should. Think of your challenge. My father used to tell a story about 2 ministers that went to a convention. The city was full. There was no restaurant available. And so they went into a subterranean restaurant that was dark. One of the ministers was blind. The other minister was a rather self-righteous, sanctimonious guy. As they went down the steps, neither could see the sighted man or the man who was not sighted. And so they stumbled over a table. The waitress, thinking they were drunk, said, "Shame on you 2 men down here drunk in the middle of the day. Don't you know there's a religious convention in town?" The sighted man, who was very self-righteous, drew himself up and said, "We're not drunk. I have you to know we're Baptist preachers." The blind man, who didn't take himself too seriously and had a great sense of humor, said to the waitress, "Don't pay any attention to him. Every time he gets drunk, he thinks he's a Baptist preacher." It's good to laugh. It's good to have a sense of humor. It'll put oils on the rails. It'll help you to go forward. Well, you can build your courage if you remember that everybody needs it, not just you. Keep your eyes on the prize. Take the small challenges first. Seek allies who will tell you the truth. Make your risk in proportion to the reward. Dedicate yourself. And take your challenge seriously, not yourself. My friend Ken Summerall, who's been a successful leader for over 50 years, was asked, "What's the secret of your ability to build these different things that you've built?" He said, "I didn't quit." Courage is not quitting. Timeout's over, and this is no game.
For more information on Time Out with Coach or CSM, please visit www.csmpublishing.org.